Aloha and good afternoon. I'm here on the Big Sur Coast to introduce an interview with Kelly Slater for you. We did 3 interviews with Kelly, one at his home in Southern California, one in Pebble Beach. When he was playing the AT&T tournament, he came and signed some boards, and the last one was in 2015 at Pipeline in Hawaii. And that was during December, so it was during event week, and it was really busy, but we did get a chance to hang out a little bit, and I did get a chance to watch him surf these incredible wooden surfboards and have a couple meals with him. He did tell me that I have the whitest legs of any human being he's ever known. I'm honored by that. And I want to tell you the depth of this guy's love for surfing and his love for the history of surfing and everything about it. It really makes it all worthwhile when I sit there and try to cut this film and edit this film and edit these interviews, and to know that the guy that is the #1 in the world has just as much love and passion for it, and it's just not a paycheck for him. So without further ado, from Big Sur, here's Kelly Slater. Aloha and enjoy it.
Hi there, I'm Kelly Slater, here today to talk to you a little bit about film being put together about Larry Fuller, a man that I've grown to know and respect a lot, who is putting together 100 of the greatest surfboard designs through the best shapers and surfers in the world, looking back through the history of surfing as a whole and trying to create a lineage from start to finish and to where we've ended up after 100 years of board shaping. And these boards, this is an absolute piece of magic, and I'm honored to be involved in this project. This is a board that's made out of the largest sequoia tree to ever have fallen. It was 282 feet tall. It was 27 feet across, 90 something feet in circumference. Unbelievable that we were even able to find this wood, that Larry was able to find this wood and be allowed to make it in his surfboards. But to be able to honor the tradition of surfing and the history of shaping and the culture of our sport in some way, I think it's just amazing, and really I'm honored to be a part of this project and to see it grow and make this a reality and bring all of us together to talk about it. And when I say all of us, I mean everyone in the surf world and beyond. And this goes back not just to surfing and its history and tradition, but also to craftsmen around the world and different techniques used to shape wood and design different equipment. Yeah, I'm just blown away at well, Larry brought me the surfboard, and this was a board that I designed with Al, and Al Merrick has basically made most of my surfboards for the past 30 years and has been like a father to me and a huge part of my life. And I think Al is arguably the greatest craftsman in surfing, and all he's doing now is working on wood boards. So Al made this one, and I can't believe that it's sitting here with me. I'm not sure what I did to deserve this, but I'm really proud of it. This is my first, actually my second wood board. My first one is a hollow board. This is a full piece of wood here, but both of those Al has made for me. I'm just excited to be a part of this project, excited to see it play out and be finished. You know, there's a lot of my friends and people I've admired throughout my whole life in this film, and I can't wait to see all the things that they have to say and the experiences that brought them into surfing, what intrigued them enough to be involved in surfing and dedicate their lives to it. And you know, Larry had this idea to dedicate his life to a project, and that's this. So this is really his life's project, and it's bringing so many different people together and so many ideas and so much dedication, so many years of experience all into one place. And I think it's just a fabulous idea. So I'm really excited for it and honored to be a part of it. And thank you guys for watching. Spread the word on the. I started surfing on bodyboards. I used to ride boogie boards when I was a kid and stuff, and then I started surfing on bodyboards, and I had this bodyboard, which was kind of this thick thing with 2 fins on it, and I stood up on that for a couple of years before I got a hardboard. And then my first actual shape board was made by Rich and Phil Salick in Central Florida, and it took 6 months to get the board. It was killing me. But I was so excited. We used to go there every like couple weeks and look, and it'd still be in the same place in the glass factory. I'm like, can't you move that one like along the thing here? But I remember the first day my brother got his board, and we both ordered boards at the same time, and he got his board about a week or two before me, and I was so jealous, I was so envious that he had his, you know. I just waited for mine. I mean, I remember going to the factory and just the smell of the resin, you know, just seeing boards getting finned up, and I don't know. I just loved it. I loved to see the whole manufacturing process when I was a kid. But yeah, I didn't know anything about board design and stuff at that point. I was 8 years old, and I was just happy. To get a board. And so I think the first 5 or 6 years I surfed, I got one board every year. And I had to trade the old board in, and you know, I think I probably take that for granted now, because you know, at some points I'll get 10 or 12 or 15 boards at a time. But you know, back then you just get a board and you make it work, and there was a big transition in boards at the time. It was going from singles to twins to thrusters, all like right in the period of time where I started getting boards. My first board was in 1980. And it actually had 3 fin boxes, but it was intended to be either a single fin or a twin fin. But it was a year before Simon Anderson did his thruster, so I was thinking maybe I had the first thruster, you know. But I never wrote it as that. I wrote it as a twin fin basically the whole time. So yeah, I'm glad that I was born at that time, because I learned on twin fins, and actually the first hardboard I wrote was a single fin, my brother's, and then. My first board was basically a twin fin, and then we transitioned into thrusters pretty quickly. Actually, probably my fourth board I ever had was a 4-fin. So it went right through thrusters into quads, and then I came back and I only had one 4-fin, and then my next 4-fin wasn't until 25 years later or something like that. But I became a scholar of board design. I've always loved and respected different board designs. I've worked closely with Al for a long time. Not so much in recent years, but from the time I was about 16 or 17 until I was in my mid-30s, we worked very directly together and very intently on ideas. We, I would say in the early 90s, we really worked on very distinct style of boards. We were trying to put more rocker. It was kind of more kick at the ends, really, and they were narrow.
So is it a radical change working with them, or is it refinement? Are you just, let's throw in a hand grenade and see what happens, if we do this, or is it refinement?
The best way to design is really to take something you already know and understand somewhat and just refine it, and every couple of years maybe just completely kind of blow that formula up and try something different. Mm-hmm. And then you usually end up going back a little bit to what you had. But it's always nice to kind of work on the outer limits of something. If you're going to make it really short, or you're going to widen it way up, or you're going to put an extra ton of rocker in the board, and then figure out how to scale back and put drive into it and make it actually have some speed. I think of board design as a battle between maneuverability and control. So you're always kind of mixing those two things. The looser a board is, the less you're kind of in control of what it's doing, and the less drive you have. So, but I mean, look, I learned a lot from watching and listening to Al over the years. When I was a teenager, one of my best buddies was Chris Brown, who rode for Channel Islands, and him and a guy named Scott Thomas kind of brought me in, and along with the Malloy brothers. Chris Malloy was a good friend of mine too, and they all kind of got me on the team at Channel Islands, introduced me to Al, and started getting him to shape me some boards. And Curran was my all-time favorite surfer, so to me it was a perfect scenario. Yeah. To be able to have Al Merrick make me a board. As a little kid, I was sort of blown away. I mean, not only did he start making me boards, I was staying at his house, and
going surfing with him, and you know, to me it was like, yeah, it was like meeting a god or something. He had created such a drastic, he had such a huge impression in the surf world, and you know, Tom was so dominant at that period of time that you know, it was clear that if Curran liked something, everyone else had to try it out. So he made such a huge impression, and yeah, you know, at that time, I don't think people realize. You see a lot of kids these days copying certain surfers and styles and stuff, but literally every single kid in California at the time copied Tom Curran's style and tried to look like Tom Curran. You know, I think as far as the percentage of people he influenced, it was probably the greatest of anyone during my lifetime. Of someone specifically trying to surf like, people trying to surf specifically like someone, like one person in particular. And Tom had a very distinct style. You know, but Tom's board design was all, I think it was mostly just Al. I don't know how much influence Tom was putting in there. Tom's not a very vocal person. He's not, I think he has a very sort of brilliant mind, and he has probably some good design ideas, but he tends to like obscure things. He'll put weird fins on boards, and you know, his board will always be kind of like waxed on the bottom, and you know, he's not like very precise, whereas Al was like his precision and his designer. And you know, the tri-plane hull is really one of the most innovative board designs that ever happened in surfing.